On tonight's show, we'll discuss women's madness that has happened today, this Sunday afternoon. We'll discuss Nebraska and Iowa going to OT, with Iowa's winning and squeaking by. Also, LSU and South Carolina. Great game, but smeared by some controversy. We'll discuss all that happened during the game and after the game with press conferences for both coaches. Plus, scores and news around the world of NBA, college, and preps. This is Fast Break, live for IE Sports Radio, your direct for always sports, and you're welcome to join us. Let's go and get this show rolling. D-Lock is running a little bit behind, but he will join us momentarily. So, a lot happened today, especially this afternoon. A lot happened. We had Championship Sunday and the women's side of things that was going on. And mind you, some damn good games at that as well. Very good games that's happened today. And a lot of good storylines, which I will dive into here a little bit more shortly. That why, the women's side of things are more compelling than the men's side of things. On the men's side of things, like what coaches do you know? Like if the average person knows. Mike Krzyzewski gone, for example. Does anybody know who his replacement is? There's a lot of things to talk about here tonight. But I want to welcome y'all to the show. Thank y'all for tuning in with us here tonight. Shout out to the chat. Joining me real quick, Terry Rodriguez. How you doing tonight, sir? Marcus Los, great in the chat. How you doing tonight, sir? As well. So lots to get into. Let's go ahead and dive into it real quick. I kind of got up a little late today because my little girl got up very early in the morning. My wife had her, and then after a little while, I got up and put her back to sleep, and we kind of slept for a little while. So when we woke up, it was already like second half of the Iowa and Nebraska game. I was looking up the stats and stuff like that, getting her situated. Caitlin Clark didn't have the best first halves in that game against Nebraska. But, after seeing the stats, stuff like that, seeing, what was going on, you knew Caitlin was going to turn up, but you didn't know how much, in a sense. And when I turned to the game and stuff like that, it's like, damn, Nebraska might pull this off. And as you watch that, especially the last about 5 minutes of that game, you thought Nebraska might pull away, but it seemed like every bad shot, bad pass, it just went Iowa's way. And the Hawkeyes capitalized on it. And they turned to Clark. She scored the ball great, step back threes, all that good stuff. And then you had some, key defensive moments from your guards and whatnot. and Martin and Stokey, excuse me. It was great for the Hawkeyes. And watching this game, I did what they had to do, but I thought Nebraska kind of wet the bed, in my humble opinion. What do you mean by that? Well, watching the game, especially that last 5 minutes in overtime, Nebraska turned the ball over multiple times, like bad passes, bad across the court passes that Iowa was just easily intercepting. And I attribute more of their 14 turnovers in that game during the last 5 minutes and overtime as well. And this is a bad shooting. I said, great to Iowa for making themselves jumpers, but this is like, bad shots from the post, bad shots from long range. It's just like, just a bad 5 minutes of basketball there from the Lady Cornhuskers. And I said on the show last week, while solo, one thing Caitlin Carr's got to do, one thing I wanted her to do is be that dude, be that gal and win the championship. If she won't complete the goal and stuff like that, win a championship. Put your stamp at Iowa forever. Well, this is step two to that. This is step two to that goal. Step three to me is at least getting to the Sweet 16 because you gotta get out that first weekend. I think getting out that first weekend, that's a goal in itself because you just never know in the NCAA tournament. Once you get to the Sweet 16 and rubber meet the grain, then get to the Final Four. That's step 4. Then step 5 is win the championship. So the Hawkeyes are getting there. It's a tough battle against Nebraska, and I think they kind of sort of the chance to get the number 1 seed. But damn it, it was a very close one though, I must say. But congrats to the Lady Hawkeyes that win the Big Ten tournament in this current incarnation. Like Terry Rodriguez said, about the USC women's win the Pac-12 tournament. The last incarnation for that as well. So, lot of stakes going in right there. So, let's turn the page on that. Going to other scores real quick. The ACC tournament final. Notre Dame beats North Carolina State 55-51. And my thing pulls up pretty quick. With Hannah Hidalgo, the talented freshman from New Jersey, having 22 points to lead the way for the Fighting Irish. To lead the way. The lead the way for the Fighting Irish. 60 points for Westbeld for the Irish as well. Irish only were like 6 deep, in that game, which could be a good or bad thing come tournament time. And with Hidalgo having 3 fouls, Westbeld had 3 fouls, everybody else had like 2. That's something that you really can't do all the way in the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying you can, but that's kind of like a playing with fire right there in that coaching part. Or North Carolina State side of things, 14 points from Baldwin, 12 points from Isaiah James. So Notre Dame, I don't know where they're going to be seated at. I think I would leapfrog Ohio State for the number 1 seed because Ohio State's early loss in the Big Ten tournament. So my number 1 seeds are looking like this so far. Iowa's number 1 seed. South Carolina's number 1 seed. I don't know. Stanford may still get number 1 seed, but USC beating them the way they did, I don't know. It's really tough to say on that front. Now, could USC play themselves since winning the Pac-12 tournament, play themselves to the number 1 seed? Perhaps. I look at Texas. That's another option there. UCLA losing they did. I think they'd be a high number 2 seed. LSU's another possible number 1. I don't know if UConn maybe wins that championship. Maybe they get that number 1 seed. There's like a lot of questions, after Iowa and South Carolina. Who do you put there? Like I said, I think Ohio State takes them out after losing early in the Big Ten tournament by double digits, by the way. USC probably looks for them, so you probably put them in the conversation. So between Texas, LSU lost, I don't think you put them there. Even though I think they had a better showing against South Carolina, which I'll talk about them here in a second. But like Terry Rodriguez brought up, South Carolina, Iowa, USC, Texas. Yeah, that's why I'll probably looking at too. It won't surprise me they probably sneak Stanford in there at that 4th spot, but who knows? If we're being honest. But who knows on that front? It all depends. They get past Kansas State on Monday. If they get past Kansas State on Monday, I think we're all good there, and they win the championship. If they get matched up with Oklahoma or Iowa State. But like I said, Monday is going to answer all of our questions, on that front. But then I think the big one today was South Carolina LSU for the SEC title. The Gamecocks still stay undefeated. They win 72-79. 24 points off the bench for Fuweli. 4 for 5 for her shooting off the bench at 3-point land. Cabasso, 8 points, 6 rebounds for her, the 6'7" senior. 12 points for Papayo for South Carolina. For the LSU side of things, Andrew Reese had 15 points, 13 rebounds. Mara had 19 points, 10 rebounds for her. Van Leith, 14 points for her in a loss right there. Let's see. Hang on 1 second. And I think the big thing about this game, unfortunately, what happened was the scuffle between the two teams. And I kind of hate that happened because you had a very good game between these two teams. On one hand, you got South Carolina, who survived, by the way, against Tennessee, who besides Nebraska this weekend, kind of wet the bed themselves, playing against South Carolina. When Tennessee and South Carolina played, ladies and gentlemen, that last second shot That last second shot, I'm pulling it right now by Cardoso. That should never, ever, ever, ever happen like that. Ever, ever, ever happen like that. That was this bad defense from the start. Like, if y'all watch that play, I'm trying to set it up for y'all. Nobody was on the inbounder. And it seemed like D-Law's good to go, so I'll buzz him here in a second. Nobody's on the in ball on the inbounder. Like Tennessee was like playing lax. It's like Tennessee was sitting there defending them like they were inbounding on the other side of the court. When actually in reality, South Carolina was inbounding on their side of the court. Not on the other side, but on this side of the court. In the half court. So I was just like, I seen it, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what is the coach doing? You got a chance to upset South Carolina. Put Tennessee back in the SEC championship for first time in a long time. And that's how you set up your defense on that part? And then you let Cardoso shoot a three-pointer like that, wide open. I don't care if she shoot the ball that much out there. You just don't leave into fate's hands like that in that situation. That's this coaching malpractice there. While I'm sitting there watching, like, damn, stuff like that would get you fired. And hang on one second. What's going on?
Another good day, man.
Well, we're live right now, man. How you doing tonight? Tell the people how you doing tonight, sir.
Pretty well. There's a bunch of games going on right at this moment. We're starting to get in the middle of the season, or the good part of the season for the college basketball. So got some good games, man. Definitely like what I'm seeing so far when it comes to college basketball and NBA as well.
Well, I was talking about, kind of leading in, South Carolina, LSU. And I kind of went back to Saturday's matchup between South Carolina and Tennessee, how Tennessee kind of like just basically just shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Especially that last second shot by Camila Cardoso at that 3-point shot. That was just like bad defense from not defending the inbound pass, leaving her wide open, and then her making a shot. I mean, that basketball, that's like a 50-50 thing, but you like I was about to say, like, you trying to secure the win. You don't want no mishaps. You know what I'm saying? And you can't just let little like things like that happen. You know? So I was like, Tennessee Balls coach, pulling that up right now. I'll find this lady's name. Kelly Harper. I mean, reading the quote now, she explained the defense strategy in the final play. She said she didn't call timeout because South Carolina didn't have one. You can't do stuff like that.
Nah.
And like you gotta make sure your stuff is right. Yeah, they may be at disadvantage because they have no more timeouts, but you got the advantage. You got the lead. You bring it to your players, or you kind of switch up things, or your assistant coach should have said something. So you say, "Hey, I don't like this little coach. Call timeout. Maybe we can look at something else." Hey, coach, why we got these gals so lax on defense here? So I was just like, I was explaining to folks, man, it's like we could talk about like a different SEC championship game um here today besides South Carolina and LSU before we dive in that. But what's your thoughts on that real quick?
I mean, for me, like I said, I think that with these games, these games are very valuable. You get to the point now where each game is very, very important. Hell, believe that one of the most recent games that we had at University of Pitt, Aaron Donald was at and played FSU. That's been a game that they've been talking about for days, recently. So these guns are making a lot. They mean a lot, and now you need to make sure that you're coming with it because now tournament time is coming right around the corner, and conference time. Like these are very quality games. So I think that now, with that being said, this is probably the most important time of the season for college basketball.
I mean, yeah, most important time in college basketball for a lot of reasons for a lot of folks, men and women's side of things. Like for the players, chance to raise, raise your draft stock, especially in the mid side of things. Which I'm gonna pose this question to you here momentarily about that. And then on the women's side of things, you know, for men and so many men's and women's, like your coaching futures. Like, Kelly Harper, I think she'll be don't be let go or whatever, but shit like that, like, and being up there used to be at UT. Those alumni folks ain't gonna play that. And with the new blood coming in, Texas, Oklahoma, and stuff like that, if you making decisions like that in games, be down to the 8 ball very quick in a new conference alignment next year. So I just think, damn, y'all had opportunity. Then like today, Nebraska, you had opportunity to beat Iowa again. But this bad play put y'all at a single digit loss. Which means let's make me go back to this game here. South Carolina versus LSU D-Lock. It was like two heavyweight champs going at it. I ran down the stats and stuff for everybody here. In your opinion, we watched the game, kept up with it, and the scuffle that happened during the game. What were your takeaway, with this game? How do you feel about South Carolina winning, staying undefeated? And what do you feel about LSU? Do you think they got enough to show to win the national championship? What were your thoughts? And also the scuffle. What were your thoughts of everything that happened between these games today?
Anytime you see a scuffle that happens, like that's one of the biggest things that you want to try to avoid. I know the passion. I know how important the game is for most teams, and you want to make sure that it stays in a level of importance for both sides. LSU obviously coming in knowing that tournament between them, others in South Carolina was very important. But to have different several ejections, that played a huge part in this game. And this is going to be something that we're going to see moving forward in the tourney. These teams are going to have to face each other at some point. I think these teams do see each other, but knowing the team will be neck and neck throughout most of this game, I think South Carolina has a team that can compete against them in LSU. But having some of the scuffle things, like this is something that we talked about in the NBA, where you're seeing these scuffles that make a big difference and is not needed. So for me, I think that especially the college women basketball is definitely not needed, let alone in any other sport. But I think that, like I said, seeing it into college basketball, that's a big no-no in my mind. But regardless, South Carolina found a way to get the victory. I think that the biggest thing is, I feel like LSU is going to be very competitive with them moving forward, and I think they're going to be a tough get for them. You had some really good competition in the sense for both. South Carolina still found a way to put up 79. LSU right behind them. So I think that this would be a good match to see moving forward. I always talk about the SEC and college football, and I always think that that's one of the toughest conferences for college football and hell, some other sports from time to time. But I think college women's basketball shows that SEC is where a lot of talent is for college women's basketball as well. And I will look forward to seeing these two compete again. If we can get a scuffle up out of there, I think this might be one of the best matchups that we've seen in a long time.
I think for me in this game, I think for South Carolina, everybody gonna give you your best shot, and you got to weather the storm for how things go. You got to weather the storm because you're undefeated. You can't. I mean, you can't go out on a loss. And once you're gone, you gone. You be back in Columbia, South Carolina, licking your wounds. Like this last night, I was watching my old high school alma mater winning back-to-back championships again up in Nebraska. Now, they only had one loss all year, and that's to the team they play in the championship for the fifth time in a row up there in Nebraska. Now, for them, they lost early in the season and stay undefeated for all the rest of the way. Great job by them. And it, great job by whatever school who they played. But on this front right here, you undefeated from here. You had really no hiccups through the major regular season, and now into here, like you mentioned, like we're into the nitty gritty. Like we're here to the nitty gritty, and you barely skated by Tennessee. You got by here against LSU by the hair of your chin. Now we'll see who they put in your bracket and whatnot. But D-Log, I don't know, like one of these teams might get tripped up here early. Like Tam Rodriguez brought in the chat, top 4 seeds, his prediction. South Carolina, Iowa, USC, and Texas may be the number 1 seeds. But as we see, like late in the season, like some of these teams been getting tripped up here lately. And the way South Carolina's been playing, I mean, it's tough. They've been battling through, but you can get tripped up. And for them, I just hate for them to go undefeated get to this point being undefeated and then getting tripped up somewhere by Sweet 16.
I mean, what you're saying, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, that's the thing with going into a tournament. Um, this tournament, what make this tournament so dangerous is you only have one chance. So you have an off day, an off game. That's it. You can go into undefeated and have the most valuable player in the league, but if you come there and have an off day, that is all she wrote at this point. So, we applaud those that come in with these incredible records. We applaud those that win their conference. We applaud those that look like the best team, in history or the best team in college basketball, men and women's. But once you get in this tournament, you have to do it continuously, day in and day out, day in and day out. Because if not, what happens is a team can catch you slipping, which, just like we see them as undefeated and others, just like we see them undefeated, so do other teams. And they understand that, hell, we play against them. We're trying to knock them down. We're trying to put an upset off. So, them, LSU, all the other teams, they have to understand that you have one chance when you get in this tournament. And this is not something to take lightly. You have to come with it every day, every game. Because once you take one night off, you can come up, get that 1 point or 2 point victory, and that's it. There's no coming back from that.
No, it's not. It's not no coming back for that at all. It's not a There's not no coming back for that. The scuffle. A lot of emotions running high and stuff like that. We hate to see that happen. And I applaud Don Sally. Getting out in front of the camera and saying, "Hey, we don't condone that. We apologize, stuff like that." Trying to say the right things. Then you got Kim Mulkey on the other side saying, "I wish she would have done that to Angel Reese." It's like playing for Kim Mulkey, man. It's like one of those damn devil deals. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't want to play for her, but it's like she can get me where I need to go and what to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, ugh. When she talks, it's just like, ugh. But and then Angel Reese, before we got on the air here, she can't win for losing, nothing like that. The video, I guess she was hurt. She kind of had to walk away when the fight got started. And everybody kind of pointing at her and saying, "Ooh, she walking away," all that stuff. Like, if she gets into it, y'all call it everything under the sun besides a black woman. If she don't get into it, walks away, maybe tend to her injury, whatever. Y'all call out, being scared or whatever. It's like, damn. Like, some of these young girls can't get over for nothing. So that's why I kind of hate the fight, because like, look all these narratives that's been coming out and stuff like that. You had the one player pulling the one girl's hair, which is tacky, but it's like stuff like that. Just like you get a certain segment of society, just saying wild stuff. Like, come on, people, be better. Like, if you don't want this lady acting a certain way, and she goes to the other side, to do whatever. I don't know what she want to do. So
I agree with you there.
I, I just don't know what the girl should do. But just going back to finish the game. I think LSU will be a number 2 seed after all this is done. I think they'll be one of the number 2 seeds along with Stanford. If UConn kind of finishes out and win their tournament, they could be a number 2 seed as well. Maybe a number 1. Like I said, Texas got to win the Big 12 if they're going to be considered number 1 seed. If they get tripped up by Kansas State tomorrow, then all bets is off right there. If they let Stanford sneak in the back door, they put UConn there or whatever. I doubt they put Ohio State there, but who knows? So it's like the women's side of things, like a lot is going on. Even I ain't got to the Pac-12 finally at D-Lock. USC beat Stanford 74-61. And this is despite Juju Walkers having 9 points.
Still a shocker right there.
And she didn't play her best game at all. 2 for 15 from the field. That's just ugly shooting right there. But Mackenzie Forbes, the senior, picking up the slack there. 26 points for her, 5 rebounds for her, 4 for 8 for 3-point land. 18 boards from Ryo Marshall. To pick up the slack in that department. Let me pose this question to you. I was going to talk to y'all about this in the chat as well. Don't y'all think the women's side of things have more compelling storylines going into it than compared to the men's? Like, think about this, D-Lock. Think about this. You got I mentioned like this minutes before you came on. You got Caitlin Clark trying to achieve her goals, whatever, and trying to help Iowa land a championship. You got that storyline going. Beat the scoring record, all that. Won a Big Ten title over your arch rival. One of your arch rivals. I don't know Iowa State fans mad at me. One of your arch rivals. And now you're in the NCAA tournament as a 1 seed. Then on top of that, you got South Carolina that's undefeated. Won an SEC championship. All that good stuff. They got a storyline if they can stay undefeated. And so forth. Then you look at USC, Juju Watkins. I said last week's show, 3 years from now, are we talking about her possibly passing up Caitlin Clark scoring records or whatnot? Can she put herself in a household name? I know those games come on late in the West Coast, but can she put herself in that bracket as the next big face in women's college basketball? UConn, Paige Beckers, Gina Armile. Kind of like the underdog here in this tournament. Can they make a good surprise run? LSU with Kim Mulkey, Asia Reese. Playing with the devil, playing for the devil in a sense. Can these girls accomplish goals playing for Kim Mulkey at the helm? And I ain't get to the point about the other talented young scoring freshmen that are going to be in the tournament as well. Ohio State, can they have a bounce back run? Virginia Tech, them as well. I just think, D-Lock, like those things I just named out about the women's side of things. Like, damn, you got more compelling storylines in the women's side of things compared to the men's, in which what storyline do we got going to the conference tournament and NCAA tournament? Can you think any?
Just like I think the biggest thing is the upset that could possibly occur. Obviously, Clayton, the stars playing how they're playing leading into the tournament. But the biggest thing with these tournaments now is one and done. We applaud different sports like a baseball, basketball, potentially having those series, but now having a one and done for college is a big deal. This is where we start seeing those stars that when they do make these mock drafts, we can get the stars from what they present, during this tournament. So, in my mind, I think this is the biggest part of college basketball season. Now they just have to prepare and show us what they got. I mean, I love this part because this is the peaking season that we want to see. We're going to see where we always see the Butlers and a few other teams not expected to show up. That's because they're ready to peak around this moment. If they get in. So we're seeing teams like Florida has been playing pretty outstanding recently. Pittsburgh University of Penn has been getting some wins that they needed. So for me, I think that this is the time where you want to see what these teams can present and bring to the table. And also now we're leading up to the NBA coming around. And we need to see what players are going to be their chance to get picked. And I think during this time of the season, this is where they make that big drop, that big move forward. We talk about USC. Well, hell, this could be the chance for Barney James to do something, even though we haven't seen too much. This could be a chance where he probably can show a glimpse of something. And if he can do that, maybe the draft talk. Since he's already got faded and sent back, they all been taken off the draft board. If he can do something in this tournament, then maybe that can change that.
Hey, go into the chat real quick before I get my remaining thoughts. Ricky, how you doing tonight, sir? Ricky said, I would say the women's tournament looks more wide open. Men's tournament, I feel, has two to three very good teams, and the rest can get picked off. UConn, Purdue, and Houston will be his top three. Hey, UConn, Purdue, Marquette, I put them in there. Florida has been coming in the men's side of things have been coming pretty strong here late in the season. So I think that's a team that you can't sleep on. Come tournament time, and they possibly could win the SEC. Tennessee you can throw in there, but Rick Barnes' history is a question mark in the NCAA tournament. It's like you got these high expectations for him in Tennessee, but then, or wherever he coaches at over the years, and it is kind of just like, just kind of wet the bed. Some people are trying to throw in Kentucky. I don't see it this year. In the beginning of the year, I thought I had a little bit high expectations, but then they started playing. It's like, it's just too, y'all okay here, a couple games here, and then a couple games y'all off, and it's like, this is too much. North Carolina, never strong contender. They beat Duke yesterday at Cameron, so like big momentum for them going to the ACC tournament as well. But the storylines ain't there. You know what I'm saying? This is like, it. To Marcus' point, I don't know about storylines, but better stars. Yeah, I think a combination of both. I mean, we can name off a whole bunch of stars on the ladies' side of things. For the men's side of things, unless you ain't really like y'all know I follow about Alabama basketball, so I know damn near everybody on the team. So if Mark Sears can go off and have a great run in the tournament, hey, all fine, cool to dandy. But if Mark Sears is walking down the street and Caitlin Clark's on the other side, more people will probably flock to Caitlin Clark than Mark Sears. No shame to that. I love you, Mark, but Caitlin Clark, she's a bigger name. Angel Reese. If Angel Reese walk behind Caitlin Clark, boom, she'll get a crowd of people around her as well. So, D-Lock, I'm just finish my thought here. Like, I think the ladies had a chance to do great things in the tournament. And I think that, for what we saw from last year, that's carried over to this season. The interest has been maintained consistently.
Mm-hmm.
For Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, from that point, and then and kind of sprinkle down to other parts of things. So I'm real excited about the ladies tournament. When we do our bracket pick'ems, I'll be willing to see how our brackets will look and everybody else's. Especially on the women's side of things.
Oh yeah, that's where it's going to be kind of tough, because you got these star players that can make a big, big difference. That's what I'm trying to dial in and think about now. We talked about around this time last year, Angel Reese was the topic of the whole college women's league, even college men. But now you got others that coming in are playing extremely well too. So when it comes to the pick'em, when it comes to the tournament, it's gonna be pretty challenging. But that's what you want to see each round. Usually the bats will see the first round in the NCAA tournament where they play a team that don't really need to be there. They put them out and move forward. Well, there's a chance that may not happen this time with these studded teams. You may face somebody that you may have to bring your A game.
So a lot of great scoring that happened. Great games that happened over the weekend and ladies side of things. Mid side of things, the regular season wrapped up on their side of things. I was watching some games earlier today, D-Log. I was watching Indiana and Michigan State. And at one point, Indiana had Michigan State down bad. Now, Indiana won the game by 1 point. Now, some of y'all probably looking read the box score saying, well, they won the game, but at one point, Indiana had them down, at one point, 25-7 before I had to step out the house for a second. 25-7 in the first half at home. But, with Indiana, it's just kind of like that inconsistent play and let Michigan State in it. And, they barely survive against that. Mike Woodson, they already said Mike Woodson will be back next year for Indiana. Now, granted, he lost a high talented recruit, for next year's class. So I don't know if he's going to work hard to get that kid back. But, when it's like this, yeah, it's a win-to-win column for Mike Woodson, but the way you got there, it was just kind of ugly, in my humble opinion. But to go to other scores around, Ohio State, they fired a coach last month, D-Lock. And here lately,
yep,
they've just been on a roll. Granted, besides the loss, they had losses here and there, but they've been playing a lot better since the interim coach has took over. Don't guy's name in front of me, but they beat the likes of Purdue. They lost to Minnesota, but they came back, beat Michigan State. They beat Nebraska, beat Maryland in 2 overtimes. Finished out this month in March strong. They beat rival Michigan down pretty badly. And on a side note on Michigan, real quick, does Ron Howard keep his job? Michigan's 8-22 this year.
right.
It seems like a lot of stuff behind the scenes keeps popping up with him there. Do you think he survives this season? Or they give him another chance?
It's a good chance that they might end up moving on from him. I think like I said, I think so much stuff is going on. Like it plays a huge part. And one thing that what I'm learning also from a university's standpoint, they don't want to have too much stuff going on, side talk, good or especially bad. They want to have all good stuff. So I think that this is a chance that they may give them a chance, but it's so much you want to continue to move forward because that off the court stuff, off the field issue stuff, it can linger and make a big impact, especially when it comes to recruiting. So I think if they could straighten up it could make a difference now. But if it lingers too long, there's a chance that it could make an impact. But I think now we can definitely get over that.
You know what I'm going to say, right? Selfishly, I want him to stay. Only reason I want him to stay, and I think you know what? If I was the athletic director, probably give him like at least one more year. I'll say this: if I was the athletic director, I'll give him this. I'll give you one more year, but fix what you got to fix. Get rid of any issues you got to get rid of, and then we'll just go from there. So if you don't like certain assistant coach, whatever, get rid of them, whatever. Fix whatever issues you have or whatnot. Because next season, like Terry Rodriguez brought up about the women's side of things, like the last season of the current Pac-12 as we know it. Next year, you got Oregon coming in, you got Washington coming in, USC and UCLA. And the way Michigan played this year, that's four more teams you got to count for. And you're going to be sitting and hanging around with Rutgers and Northwestern at the bottom of the poll. And Penn State. You don't want to do that. So selfishly, I want him to stay because if he gets fired, I think they probably had their eye on one certain individual in Tuscaloosa, and Nate Oates. And for some of y'all don't know, Nate Oates is a Michigan guy. He's from Michigan, from that Detroit area. And Auburn ain't too far from Detroit. Now, I'm not saying he would, but to go back home, like I don't know, a lot of y'all saying he might get fired. Probably true. But, I think Michigan will have eyes for Nate Oates to replace him in that job. That could have happened. I know Oates has a high buyout, but you know that's one person Michigan could look at if they get rid of Howard. And like Marcus brought up, he's not getting the recruits, but you know who is? Nate Oates is. Nate Oates got a top 5 class coming in. There's a freshman class coming in next year. He's losing 16 years for this Alabama squad. And from what I've been watching Nate Oates past couple years, he can work that transfer portal. Very good. And you can tell me if he gets up to Michigan, he can take that freshman class. He's potentially bring it to Alabama and bring it to Michigan, and the way he can work the transfer portal. That's kind of like a big win if Michigan part ways with Juwan Howard. So got that front. Watching the Missouri Valley Championship game. I don't have the two coaches in front of me, but you know, those are two options there as well. What did Drake and Indiana State, those two programs going about? Maybe to look at one of those two guys. That's my top three right there. But anyways, to move on from that, but like some of y'all saying in the chat, Juwan might get fired because like too much stuff is just been going on there, and not the work to keep him around. Let's go to the NBA side of things real quick before we get out of here. Your Magic, D-Lock. They lose to the Pacers 111-97. I watched them the other day against the Knicks. It seemed like they could never get past the Knicks in second. The Knicks kept them in 20-plus points at certain points, and they just never could have got past them at that point, and they lost 98-74 on Friday. And then they lose to the Pacers today 111-97. What can you imagine do kind of bounce back from things in your eyes?
I think the biggest thing is get healthy. Right now, you got a lot of key players. They themselves didn't play. Wendell Carter's been missing a few games. Star player Paolo Banchero has been missing a few games. Caleb Houston, who started, didn't do shit today. I mean, he got rotation, didn't do anything. But I feel like the number one thing is get healthy. They're moving pretty well. They're playing pretty consistent when they are healthy. But that is the biggest deal, is to get healthy, because now, again, just very similar to college basketball. Like now you get into the season where it's very important. You're winning them down. You're trying to get a good seed, trying to get in a good spot, get in these series games. This is very consistent. At this point, as a former track athlete myself, I thought that peaking was only for track and field. That is totally not the case. There are some times where athletes, teams in different sports peak too early. And this could be, one of the situations that could possibly happen for multiple teams in multiple sports. So I think that, getting healthy is the number one thing, because when they are healthy, they are a very dangerous team to deal with. And they're playing extremely well and with extreme confidence once they're healthy. So get healthy and get ready for the rest of the season. I mean, right now, like I said, when you do take a few games off, I've seen what this team looks like without Paolo Banchero. Franz Wagner is basically a guy that definitely needs help with Banchero. So without him, it kind of not looking so much as similar. So getting healthy is what we need to do. They can do that. I think they'll be a team that can stack up some more wins. But to be honest, a hell of a season so far. We haven't seen a season like this since we've had Jameer Nelson, Rashard Lewis, and Dwight Howard.
So Indiana picks the win there. Live right now, the Nets are up 116-99 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cam Thomas back in the starting lineup. I've been missing a good couple weeks. 29 points for him in the starting lineup, mind you. Mikal Bridges, 25 points for him. For the Cleveland side of things, Jared Allen, 50 points, 9 rebounds for him. Still no Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs, but Caris LeVert back in action, 6 points for him as well. This past week, D-Lock, they say Ben Simmons is going to be out for the rest of the year with his injuries. Let me ask you this. As an athlete, what's the move for him in your humble eyes? As an athlete, like, what's the move for him to do, in your humble opinion?
Well, he needs to get healthy. Um, I've been one of those few that said numerous times, Philly not playing well was not necessarily the fault of Ben Simmons. Thought, Embiid played a huge part, Doc Rivers, James Harden, others. But he needs to stay healthy, man. He needs to get healthy. I mean, as an athlete, one of the biggest things when it comes to your health is your mental. Like you can literally be 100% and nothing can be wrong with you, but because of your previous health history, your mentality, your mental plays a part with you. It's very hard to get back out there and be 100%. So for me, he needs to be 100%. He needs to get 100%. And I hate to say this, but it may be a time for him to move on to a different team at some point, because now it's like he just jumped from team to team and have these different injuries and may need another start over. Because he started clean, it seemed like he was going to do a good thing for Brooklyn, but has not panned out well because he's been on the bench more than on the court. So at this point, he needs to be able to be healthy. Hell, somebody asked me, one of my best friends asked me, who stole more money? Who stole more money career wise, Ben Simmons or Sam Bradford? And so far, Ben Simmons has already passed Sam Bradford about the money that he's made. So I think that the biggest thing is the mentality, the mental of being able to be confident and knowing that nothing's wrong. And that's something that he has to figure out. This is something that doctors can't do. This is something that the teams can't do. This is something that he has to figure out and know. Once he gets that now, he can move forward. But if that doesn't happen, we're going to see the same thing happen no matter where he could be. Because at the end of the day, his mental is not there. And I think that he needs to be confident, know that nothing's wrong, to move forward and get his career going in the right direction.
I think for me, for him, it's just like it. I don't. I really don't know, to be honest with you. And he has one more year left on his contract. At $40.3 million next year. I know he lost a lot of money that very last year, the Sixers. Name not showing up, all that stuff. We talked about it here. But I just don't know I don't know as a team what you can do with him. Like you alluded to, yeah, he can get healthy and all that stuff. But he already missed his last year the Sixers missed like one full year basically, and didn't really play that much. Are we really sure it's a back injury? I'm not just trying to discredit him and all that stuff, but it just seemed like this the guy is motivated to do other things, and you kind of hate him. You kind of hate seeing this because there's always that saying in basketball: you're too big, you're you're too damn big. You're too big for no reason, or you got all that height for nothing. You got all that skill, all that, and whatever. Ben Simmons, all that. You got height, skill, and he just letting the waste go away. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, we start seeing him prep and all that, high school and that stuff. You see all this talent, it's like, damn. If he can, be a half-ass shooter, he can be a dominating force in the league. Left hand as well. But also around the his high school time, people who follow that, there also been stories out that he really ain't motivated like that. And he can use his skill and stuff like that to make money in NBA, but not be like, like a LeBron, chasing records and all that type of stuff. Or like a Giannis, have a motivating factor to kind of set up his family for life. Accomplish what I got accomplished, but still play as long as I got to play to set up my family. Ben Simmons ain't built like that. So I hope he can get it together. I would hate to see in his last year, in his contract, he's back fully to go, and he's playing like at, all-star level Ben Simmons, 13 all NBA Ben Simmons, and some teams get roped in a big contract with him. So I hope he gets it together. I also thought about maybe the Nets maybe work out a buyout for him before next season, and just go ahead and get him out the Bucks. Eat what you gotta do. But it's like another thing with the Nets. It's like they've been patient, but it seems like Nets management really don't know what they're doing. If you had a chance to get rid of dude, get rid of dude. If you go back to the trade deadline, if you got like 6 draft picks altogether, to get for Mikal Bridges and Dorian Finney-Smith, and you didn't take them, that's on y'all. And they also, if all these teams offering these draft picks, if you can't find a way to squeeze Ben Simmons in there and maybe like give a draft pick back, what are we doing here? So it's like, I understand trying to work with the dude, but it's just like, and Ben got to help himself too. It's like, dude, are you that motivated to play? Or before I keep back in your D-Lock, or is he ready for the second half of his life? That's like streaming and gaming and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that, but I feel like you can make some more money in NBA before you sell to that life. I'll let you have the last word on that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that the biggest deal is we've seen different situations to go with Ben, and I thought that Ben would be able to do something at um, Brooklyn with huge expectations, and it just seems like now that start over, we see him start out very well and then have these different injuries. And I still feel like he can be one of the better players in the league, but now with these nicks and bruises and these different things, I'm believing that it's more to it than just that. And now, like I said, maybe it is being the mental part is a big aspect. So now, if that can be fixed, then he has a chance to has his career move in the right direction. But this is something that they need to continue to work on. And Ben Simmons knows, obviously, the expectations that many have of him. So hopefully, this is something that they can get corrected. But being that first round pick with these expectations, you want this guy to play a huge part and move forward in that right direction. It just seems as if a few things have happened and he cannot go in that that direction. But to get things started, I think, like I said, maybe a new start, a fresh start could change that. But wishing the best, man. I mean, I feel like we always see these players with these high expectations in their career and they don't hit them. But I really hope that Ben Simmons can get on the right path and possibly show with the expectations that we have of him, and he can lead in that direction.
So, yeah, hopefully he gets it together and, the Nets, finish out the Cavaliers 120-111 to finish off that game. On that note, the Rockets went 112 over 104 over the Sacramento Kings. Sengun, who's been playing very great ball here for the past month, went out in a wheelchair. So we'll let you know on the status of him. But him going out, the way he's been playing, not good. If Houston, I'm not saying they're gonna make a push to the playoff, but if they're gonna try, Sengun being part of it, was gonna be in the play in big hands. And speaking of Rockets, none of those old veterans, even his coach, Ime Yukata, none of them never gamed up Jalen Green. Mr. Jalen Green, you didn't learn to see the lesson learned from PJ Washington. I'm just saying. I just had to throw it out there, D-Lock. I'm sorry. I had to bring it up. But anyways, Sabonis had 25 points and 15 rebounds for 10-11 shooting on that front. But moving on. Grizzlies get the upset win over the Heat, 110-108. Kuzma, 32 points for him, 9 rebounds on that front. Jordan Poole, 23 minutes and only 6 points, 5 fouls, 6 assists. Not the best seasons for him. Jimmy Butler, 23 points for the lead away for the Heat, but wasn't enough to overcome the lowly Wizards on that front. Thunder beat down the Grizzlies today, 124-93. 30 points for G.G. Jackson, who's been playing pretty well when they put in these high-minute situations for the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson, 16 points for him. I watched that game the other night between the Hawks and the Grizzlies. His play in the first half is bad. It's bad dribbling, forcing stuff. Just bad all-around play for him in that first half, in which they lost that game to the Atlanta Hawks. With Deontay Morris scoring 41 points in that game. Great for him on that front on Friday against the Grizzlies. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 23 points for him. Giddey has 16 points, team rebounds for himself on that front for the Thunder. Pelicans beat the Hawks 116-103. Zion had 27 points to almost lead away, but Trey Murphy, the third, that had 28 points off the bench for the Pelicans. 25 points for Bogdanovic and 23 points for Dejounte Murray. 11 assists for Murray as well. 12 points off the bench for DeAndre Hunter as well. Still no Trae Young doing the injury. Hopefully be back soon. The Bucks with a big time win over the Clippers after kind of, I won't say taking a bad loss against the Lakers a few days ago, but it's just like, it was a bad loss. Just put it that way. And let D-Lo cook. You know what's so funny about D-Lo and Dejounte Murray, D-Lock? These two were part of trade rumors for each other. And ever since then, they've kind of been playing very, very good basketball for their respective teams. Giannis had 34, the lead for the Bucks. 10 points for 10 points for 10 assists, for Giannis. I'll get my words out. 35 for Damian Lillard to lead the way. Norman Powell, 26 points off the bench for lead the way for the Clippers. No Kawhi Leonard on that front as well. You got the Lakers and the Timberwolves tipping off here momentarily. LeBron and AD are playing that game. So it should be a good game on that front. D-Lock, any remaining thoughts before we get off the air?
Just saying that this is a big part of the season. We're looking at college basketball where tournaments coming around. You got the conference tournaments is huge. A few upsets are already happening. And then NBA. This is LeBron is completely obviously showing how he is making it very, very argumentative for those that say Michael Jordan is the greatest ever. I mean, he's doing things that we have not seen any player do. I've seen numerous different stat comparisons, and he is just being unbelievable right now. With that being said, the Lakers need to make their move forward, and we talked about the video that we've seen with LeBron and just insane. I knew they was going to get blown out of proportion with that. So, but like I said, I think that the NBA is coming to a good part of the season as well. We have a lot of big shockers, and I'm definitely looking forward to an exciting ending. I don't want it to end so fast, but I think there's a lot of excitement and upsets that's going on, and it's definitely going to prove to us why we continue to love to watch the sport of basketball.
I want to sign up before we get out of here. Do you think Jeannie Buss and Linda Rambis was doing a little too much touchy-feely with LeBron the other day?
Man, I want to say yes, but at the same time, maybe this is just a video that they caught. I think this is, them being, I guess, a little friendly. Depending on how the conversation went, I don't think it went, out of bounds or anything. Him being there for so long, I don't think it was too much. Not sure how Mrs. Savannah feels about that, but I think that this is them just being, more so business, being very cool with, a star player, not only on their team, but in the league. But I definitely, I try my best not to put it out of, blow it too much out of proportion. But obviously, other products can possibly still be bigger than what it was. So, but again, I text out there, man, they're gonna blow this out of proportion, and we've seen that shit all over the place already. So, expect to see more comments, Twitter responses to that. But I personally don't think it was too much. But hey, what do I know with that? But I definitely don't think it was.
Yeah, I think, LeBron being there for a good few years now, been around the organization. If Jeannie Buss is comfortable with you like that, then, you good. You know what I'm saying? You good. On that, like, Magic level, good, because, Magic, he damn near practically family of the Buss family, but LeBron, he tight with Jeannie. She don't put her hand on his shoulder like that. She ain't think it was tight with him. I know that for sure. And then have her road dog, Linda Rambis right there with them. That's just icing on the cake there. But like I said, Lakers, Timberwolves about to tip here in a little bit. So a big game in the Western Conference to kind of determine some seeding and all that stuff. In the bottom rankings and for the top of the rankings, as well as OKC's the top of the West right now. As the game lead on the Timberwolves. So Big game for the Timberwolves kind of win as well. Big game for the Lakers to win as well, because they've been kind of playing strong against these strong teams, but losing against Sacramento the other day kind of really, really hurt them with the way they played. So we'll see how tonight goes in that matchup on there and stuff like that. But thank you for tuning in with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's great to talk about, you know, the women's like that, as long as we did. It'll be more like that here come next Sunday on Selection Sunday as well. So do tune into the show next week. You know, the show time will be going on along this as well next week, going all over Selection Sunday, our picks, going by bracket, men's and women's. So we're trying to squeeze in bunches as we can as well. But D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
Yeah, I find me at Black-813 on X/Twitter. D-Lock813 on Instagram. Let know they can find you at the show's page.
Do follow the show's page at Twitter/X at FastBreak and IESR. That's FastBreak IESR. Do follow iSportsRadio.com for all your latest shows, news, and feeds. NFL free agency is, well, kicking off already in a sense, but definitely kick off tomorrow. Do check out all the shows on our network on Twitter/X. Got a lot of folks that do a lot of great work. A lot of teams in free agency hunt. You know, shows in Buffalo, SoCal, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, South Florida, North Florida, KC. We signed Chris Jones. Chicago, Anna Karnick, who signed Kevin Byard today. A lot of good shows in the network here. So do tune in for that. New York, back in the fold with us. So do tune in for that. I do have a Twitter/X page, Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. I do have a show outside called The Crooks Process. Do follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You'll see the CP logo there. I posted some new episodes up on Spotify here lately, so do check that out at the link at Facebook or Spotify, or Instagram as well. So tune in, ladies and gentlemen, next week, NCAA Tournament Talk. We'll give our predictions, talk about matchups, and talk about the big dance coming on down the road. Talk to y'all later. Peace.